Platform classmates. Learn Power Platform like you would learn from a fellow classmate.
Yeah, we've all learned a lot of. I've kind of learned a lot of portal stuff from Arpit. So looking forward to the same in this session, Arpit. And over to you then. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priyesh.
thanks.
Hey, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone from wherever time zone you are joining this event. And first of all, I would like to thanks all the organizer, especially Priyesh, Yash, and all the rest of the teams for putting all this effort to take this great initiative, especially for the beginners who want to learn the Power Platform and the Dynamic 365. And I'm really excited to be part of this event, and special thanks to all the organizers who putting their efforts to taking us back to the school days. So it's a great experience for all the beginners who want to learn the Power Platform, the Dynamic 365. So before getting into the session, I would like to give a quick introduction about myself. My name is Arpit Srivastav, and I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm also a Power Platform architect, a Dynamic 365 architect working in Capgemini, India. I've been working in Dynamic 365 quite around 10 to 12 years, from last 10 to 12 years, and working in Power Platform for the last 3 to 4 years. I've been experienced in working in various areas like Azure, C Sharp, SharePoint, and Dynamics 365, and I started working Dynamics CRM from since 2011 version, I guess. And I've done a lot of works in the portal side. And so if you want to have a look all the interesting stuff that I share related to the Power Platform components, especially related to the portals, you can have a look on my website called arpitpowerguide.com. And obviously, if you want to connect me through the social media channels, you can find me on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and on the YouTube channel by Arpit Dynamics. So on my YouTube channel, I have uploaded a lot of recordings of my previous sessions. So if you're interested to watch these recordings related to the Power Platform components, Canvas app, Power Apps, so a lot of interesting stuffs are there. All right, so let's begin with the session. So in this session, I'm going to discuss about the portals, design, equip, POC. I've been giving a lot of sessions on the portals for the beginners and for the advanced. And recently, I have organized a Power Apps portal bootcamp as well, where we actually in the 2 days we actually discuss about the portals from beginner to the advanced level. But I haven't given any session on how to design a POC in the portal, because in most of the project, even in almost all the project nowadays, customer is interested to know about the product capabilities, right? So it's not about only the portals. If you're working in any product, maybe in the SharePoint, C Sharp, .NET, or any of the technology, the customer always willing to know the capabilities of the products, right? So POC is very important in any project. So I just thought of have a session on to have a fundamental session on how to design a POC on the portals in a very less amount of time, because we know that the Power Platform is a low code no code platform. So obviously we could not spend much time to design a particular POC like we used to do in the earlier days. So in this session, I'm going to discuss about how to design a quick POC. So let's discuss about the agenda. So in this session, I'm going to discuss about why we need the POC, why we usually create the POC in any project, and why we need the portal POC. And there are some example I'm going to discuss about. There are some real world case studies the customers are using the portals. So based on that, you can imagine that what are the use cases, what are the requirements for which I can start using the portals. So in this, I'm going to discuss about some real world case studies, components needed to design the portal POC. So as we already know that there are a lot of components of the portal. So anyone who is having a basic background about the portal, we know that there are a lot of components that Microsoft has provided to customize the portal. But we don't often use all the components while designing the POC, right? So what are the basic components that we need to design a quick POC? Okay, And I'm going to discuss about a portal, a POC, where we can manage the events, trainings, and the boot camp. So let's say a client has a requirement where they want to, organize the events, trainings, the boot camps. Like we have a lot of community channels, a lot of community portals like Power Platform, Classmates. So these kind of boot camps or trainings they want to organize. So how we can plan to create a quick POC to manage all this stuff like events, trainings, and also I'm going to discuss about that. And finally, we would have the the practical session in which I will show you the live demonstration of the portal components and how I have designed the portal and how I have designed the portal POC in 1 or 2 hours of time. All right. All right, so let's first discuss about the chapter 1, that why need the portal POC. Okay, so before discussing about the portal POC, we should understand that what is the meaning of POC. The POC is basically the proof of concept. Okay, and it is not. It is basically you can imagine in from the two parties perspective. So for example, it is necessary for the client perspective, your customer perspective, and the second is from the technical guy or architect or the development perspective. All right, so for example, like if you are a pre-sales guy or a functional consultant, you are having a conversation with your client and the customer has not yet decided whether they want to go ahead with the Power Platform or not, right? So you are in the discussion phase of the project, and usually in this phase of the project, the customer is usually want to know the capabilities of your products. Then only they can decide whether they want to purchase the license or not. So proof of concept is usually very necessary in that particular phase where you want to demonstrate or where you want to show the capabilities of your product. So for example, customer is having a requirement that they want to design a website where they can manage the events, boot camps, or the trainings that they organize within the organization. So they don't have any sort of solutions, but they have a lot of open solutions available. They can use the Shisha portal, they can design the external portal, they can use the Salesforce, they can use some external tools as well, and they have the dynamic CRM available. So in order to decide whether they want to go ahead with the dynamic CRM or the Power Platform, they need to have they need to understand whether this particular product is capable enough or not. So in that purpose also you design the POC, right? So if the user, if the client is having any idea, so the proof of concept basically convert your idea into reality. So first of all, if any clients is having any idea, so you just take that idea, you just design the POC, show to the client, and if the client agrees, then you can simply convert it to the reality. So that is the main objective of designing the POC. Okay, and from the technical or the developer perspective, sometimes if you get the requirement, you want to do a quick POC of that, right? Because you are also not sure about that whether it's possible using Dynamics 365 or the Power Platform. So before committing it to the client, you just want to have a quick POC of that so that you can understand whether you can understand whether is there any capabilities of any product. So these kind of things you can get to know in advance by doing a POC. So that is the advantage of doing a POC. So as I already told, like you can use the POC to check the product feasibility, whether that particular requirement can be achievable using the Dynamics 365 or the Power Platform. And one of the major advantage of using POC is to identify the potential, the technical and logistical issues, that might interfere with the success. So sometimes, if you get the requirement and you start implementing it directly without knowing whether it's feasible or not, then sometimes you end up failing the component and end up mess up a lot of things in the productions. So I know that it takes time, additional time to spend, but if you are not sure that whether this particular feature or requirement is not possible using Power Platform or Dynamics 365, it's better to spend few hours and check whether it's possible or not. Okay, and the last one is it's I already suggested like you to convince your stakeholders, your managers, your clients that the idea is worth pursuing further. So it's a great idea. Actually, you can show the roadmap of the product. You can simply showcase the product feasibility or the capabilities using the POC. The same goes with the portals. So if you get the requirement, you can simply design a portal POCs in a very short span of time. Let's discuss about some portal examples that how you can think of, like, for this particular requirement I have to design the portal. So there are a lot of real world case studies we have, and you can get it from the Microsoft portals as documentation portal as well. They have shared a lot of customer stories as well. So there are a lot of clients, they are using portals for self-service. So customer self-service is a very essential part nowadays, just to reduce the call center effort. So customer self-service, for the customer self-service, they are using blogs, forums, and the community purpose. Some of the clients are using portals. Managing trainings, boot camps. So there are a lot of companies using the Power Apps portal for event management perspective. Since we already have the template for event management, but sometimes that is not enough capable. So you want to customize your portal as per your need, right? So a lot of companies or clients are using the Power Apps portal to manage the trainings and the boot camps. IT help desk and the COVID portal. So in last 2 years, there are a lot of countries government has designed the COVID portals for the vaccination availability, for healthcare checkup, and for some sort of FAQs related to the COVID. So there are a lot of companies, IT companies, and there are a lot of governments are using the Power Apps portal to manage the COVID related informations. Airline bookings. So there is a lot of organization or the companies like Virgin Atlantic. So these are the company, they are using the Power Apps portals for airline bookings. And not only for the airline bookings, there are few companies they are using for using portals for some other sort of bookings as well. Like we have the website called Zomato, right? So same like Zomato and the Swiggy, we have some other Power Apps. There are some clients they are using the Power Apps portal for food booking, beverage bookings as well. Healthcare websites are also designed on the portals, and there are some customers they are using the portal for the project management as well. So there is a big misconceptions in the community, like the portal is only for the external users. Yes, the intention was to create the portal for the external users, because for the internal user we already have a lot of components like model driven app, canvas app, so these sort of components we already have for the internal users. So intention of creating the portal for the external users, but it's not like that it's only limited for the external users only. There are few organizations that they are using the portals for the internal users only. They are not exposing it to the external users, because it reduces the cost. So for example, if I'm working in an organization and I just need to have I just need to have the features like sales, leads, and opportunity. I don't want to use some other features of the Dynamics 365. So it's really irrelevant to provide me the Dynamics 365 license if I just want to use the few features of the Dynamics, right? So for these kind of purposes, the organization or the Microsoft usually recommend to provide the portal for these sort of group of users, so that we can customize the portals and provide only the respective features so that they can use that, right? So for these kind of things, we can also use the portals for the internal users. So these are some examples where various organizations are using portals, okay, in the real world. Now, components to design the portal POC. So you already know about, there are a lot of components of the portals, but just wanted to highlight few of the basic components that you usually use when you design a portals, right? That these are the basic component, the fundamental components that you need to use before designing the portal. So the first component is the basic form. So if you're working in any project or any portal requirement, you might get the requirement to take the user input, maybe in the registration form or any sort of forms you need it, right? So for that purpose, you need the component called basic form. So that is used to design the forms usually in the portal. We have the advanced form also available to design the multi-steps form. So the difference between the basic and the advanced form is like, basic form is basically a single form. So if you have the requirement to take the user input in a single form, then use the basic form. And if you have the requirement to take the user input in the multiple steps. So if I talk about, if you are designing a career portal, right? So in most of the IT companies website, you see in the career portal, they take your information in the multiple steps. For example, they are your basic information, then your experience details, and then your professional career details, your achievements. So these kind of information they actually takes in the multiple steps. So if you have such sort of requirement, you can go with the advanced form. We have the form metadata. So form metadata is basically used to manage the form metadata. So metadata is basically your fields, your columns, your tables, your sections, or nowadays the PCF control is also available on the portal. So if you have enable any custom controls, so to managing these sort of metadata, you use the form metadata. Now, what is the significance of using form metadata? Because there are a lot of cases where there are few features that you want only to implement for the portals. So for example, I have created a first name field, but that first name field I want to make it mandatory only for the portal, not for the dynamics, right? So this is the metadata change that we require at the portal level. Okay, I want to auto populate the logged in user information. I want to change the label of a field. So if I want to change the label of a field only on the portal, not on the Dynamics 365, so these sort of metadata changes can be managed using form metadata. Okay. Weblinks is used to design the toolbar, because if you are designing any portal, it comes with some out-of-box links and buttons and toolbars buttons. So it's a very common requirement that you have to create your links and customize your toolbars as per the client needs. So weblinks we usually use to design the portal POC. Web file, if you have some, some sort of, some web component that you want to store like JavaScript, jQuery, images, so these kind of things you can store it in the web files. Content snippet to manage all the components, to manage all the content on the portal. So usually portal comes with some default contents, but you can easily manage the portal content directly from the portal or from the portal studio. So content snippet is also very useful to display the content as per the client need. Okay. Entity list or the table list, the new name is to view submitted data. So once you submit the data using basic form or the advanced form, if you want to display or view the submitted data, you can use the table list. So I'm going to demonstrate all these components in the live demonstration. So you will get to know that what is the significance of each component. Table permission, that is very important, that if you are designing any component, if you are creating any table in the Dataverse, it is must to provide the record level permission, the table level permission. So like in the CRM we have the security roles and the access privileges. In the same way we have in the portal table permissions and the web roles. So web role is similar like the security roles, and table permission is similarly like the role based security in the Dynamics 365. So this is very important, especially from the POC perspective, because when you design the actual project or implementation, you take care about the permissions and all, because at that time you get the requirement from the client that what to hide and what to show. But especially when you design the portal, sometimes you don't care about the data which is being leaked, right? Because you are doing a POC, so you usually doesn't care about whether the data is being exposed publicly or not. So it is very mandatory that if you are designing a POC, if you are using a particular data, then use the dummy data only. Okay, don't use any client the confidential data while designing the POC. So web role and table permission plays a very major role in the POC. Web page access control rule. So if you are creating multiple web pages, but you want to hide and show based on the roles and based on the user group that is logging onto the portal. So for example, if you are designing a portal for the event management, so in the event management, you have multiple groups of user like organizer, participants, speakers, right? And you often want that the organizer functionality should not be exposable to the participant, and vice versa. I cannot say, but organizer functionality should not be there with the speakers and the participant. So for these kind of features, you can control using web page access control. All right, so these was the basic component that we're going to use in the live demonstration. Now, so let's say I have the requirement or I just want to do a quick POC to manage the events and the trainings using the Power Apps portal. OK, so to design this quick POC, there are few things that I need to keep in mind, or what are the steps that I need to perform if I have to design a portal POC. OK, so the first step is that, and it's not the thumb rule kind of that this is I have created based on my understanding. So for I have designed, I have designed a lot of POCs for the clients, multiple clients, and based on my experiences, these steps could be up, down, and maybe change in the sequential order. But this is the steps I have designed based on my experience, that you need to first finalize the data model, because portal configuration is all about the database configurations, right? So what tables you need to create, what field you need to create, what views you need to create. So these kind of information you need to. So first you decide the data model in the Dataverse, then you need to start creating the solution component. So for example, what forms you need to create, and what views you need to create, what relationship you need to create. So these kind of things. Sometimes the out-of-box component which is available with the Dynamics is not enough to design the portal. So you need to create few new components, right? So these are the things that you need to create. Then you start creating the portal configuration. So why I put this solution component before the portal configuration, because portal configuration is highly dependent on the Dynamics 365 or the Microsoft Dataverse configuration. Because if you are designing a basic form, you need the CRM form. Because if you are designing the table list, you need the CRM view, right? So these kind of things, first design the data model, then solution component, then portal configuration. Then I've already discussed the portal security. So always keep in mind that you are using the dummy data, but still you need to provide the portal security. Okay, and then if your time permits, then you can simply put some small type of branding in the theme, so that client could be imagine that the future product will look like this. Okay, so it is optional part whether you want to do it or not. It's up to you. But the branding and the themes, this is very easy to manage in the portal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete this flow in the live demonstration. That what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a portal. Okay, and in the portal, the organizer will publish the event. As soon as the event is getting published, a new Teams meeting gets created in the system. Okay, once the Teams meeting gets created, it will be available on the event form, so that the participant can quickly copy the meeting links, and they can start they can simply join the event on the event date. Then for the call for speakers, so once the event is published, the call for speaker button will be available on the portal, so that the speakers can submit their sessions. So obviously, if the speakers are submit their sessions, we need some sort of approvals, whether we want to allow that particular session in that particular event. So I have just put the session approval step in between. Then the participant registration is there. So participant registration can also be done once the event is published, right? So I just put it in this flow, but this call for a speaker and participant registration can be done simultaneously, and then completed the event. So just I'm going to take a small POC of this flow. All right. Okay, so let's get into the action, and we'll see that how we can design this whole process in the portal. All right, let me share my screen. Perfect. So this is the portal. So if you are not aware about that, the portal, how the portal UI look like, is actually come with the domain powereppsportal.com, but you can just change the domain as per your client need. Okay. So I have actually installed the custom portal. So if you are not decided that which kind of portal you want to install for a particular organization, you can go ahead with the custom portal. But it comes with some other templates as well, like customer self-service template, partner portals, community portal, employee self-service portal. So if you are sure that for which purpose or your requirements are already sure that for this particular purpose I am going to use the portal, then you don't need to use the custom portal. Okay, but if you are not sure, let's go ahead with the custom portal. Okay, now this is the custom portal, and this is the very basic layout of it. I just made some configuration in the home page. And so I was talking about the branding and the themes. So it's very simple to change the brandings and all. I just made the logo. I just changed the heading of the toolbar. I just made the changes in the home title. So this all the information I'm going to demonstrate once I'll demonstrate the complete flow. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, so let's say I'm an anonymous user. I just landed on this page, and once I landed on this page, I will having the option of events, and rest of the information I'm not able to see. Like about us is just the information about the portal. So what is about portal classmates and all. This is the home page, and I'm only able to see the events page. Okay, so once I click on the events, So let's say I'm the participants, or I may be the speaker, and I just landed on this page. So once I click on the events, I will be able to see list of all the events which is been published by the organizer. Okay. So I can just simply check. So this is basically the table list. So in the portal, we call it as a table list. So this information has been submitted by someone, and this is the list that I'm going to demonstrate here, right? So table list is nothing but the view. So I'm just showing the view which is available in the dynamic CRM. Okay. So let's start with our flow with the organizer. So I just just for understanding purpose, I'm going to demonstrate this whole flow in the 5 parts. Organizer will publish the events, will create a Teams meeting. So I will log in as a Arpit. Okay, Arpit credential. So I'm considering myself as an organizer. So I will publish an event. Now some dummy user will log in as a speaker and they will submit their session. I will provide the approval of that session, and as soon as I will provide the approval, that session will start visible on the portal. Okay. Then third step is the participant registration. So we will use any other dummy user to register for the portal. And the fourth one is we will we will close the participant and the speaker registration. So once the registration is closed, the speakers and the participants should not be able to register for the events, right? And we'll discuss about some basic thing like the permissions, the branding, and the liquid templates, etc. All right. So first I will start with the organizer. Okay, so let's say I'm just landed on this portal. I'm the organizer, so I will simply go to the sign in. So I will use the Azure AD credential because I'm already having Azure AD account. Okay, so as soon as I've logged in, you can see a new button got popped up on the toolbar called Publish Event. Okay, but if you can see, it is not visible to the anonymous user. So I'm going to discuss about that as well, that how you can manage the permissions, toolbar links, and the web role to hide and show the information on the portal. All right, so the publisher, so the organizer has logged in into the portal. The first thing as a publisher, what I need to do is I need to publish a new event. Okay, so I will click on publish event, and I need to provide the event title. There are some information available here like event title, event description, what technology based on that this particular event is going to be, and the event mode, whether it's a virtual event or the in-person, the type of the event, and the start date and end date of the event. Okay, so this is the basic information I've just used. So this is nothing but the basic form I'm using. So I told about you, like, there are 2 types of forms, basic and the advanced form. So this is the basic form because I'm taking the user input in a single screen or in the single form. Okay, so let's say I'm just providing the title called Power Platform Classmates. Pasting the same here. Okay, let's go to the technology, and the technology is the Power Platform and is going to be the virtual. So this is the new feature that Microsoft has recently introduced, like you can use the custom control as well. So I'm going to show you that how you can use the custom control as well in the portal. So earlier it was not possible to use the custom control in the portal, but now you can use the custom control as well, just to enhance the data visualization on the portal, same like the Dynamics 365. So event type is free, and I'm just taking the event start date. It's tomorrow 25 and 24. Let me, yeah. Check. All right, so this event is going to take place tomorrow between 8 AM to 9 PM, and I will submit this event. All right, so once I submit this event, I have not sorted this. So if you can see here in this entity list, my event is available here. So it's already there, like the Power Platform Classmates, the technology, event start date, end date, event mode, and the event type. So just to design the POC, I'm using the out-of-box component only. So I have just used the 2 components. First is basic form to submit the event, to publish the event. and this is the entity list where I can see the submitted information, right? So there are a couple of ways, there are a lot of ways which I'm not going to discuss it today due to lack of time. That you can enhance the portal UI as per your client needs. But in order to design the POC, you have very limited time. You cannot customize your portal much. You want to just showcase the out-of-box capabilities and also want to implement the requirement using the products. That is enough, right? But from the UI perspective, you can enhance a lot of things in the portal. All right, so the organizer has published the event and it is available here. Now in the another Edge window, I've logged in as a anonymous user. Okay, now I will be landed on this page and I want to, simply submit a session for this particular event. Okay, so I'm an anonymous user. I will simply click on events. So if I want to see like how many events and what particular time events that is being organized, so I can see now like these are the events which is being hosted by the Power Platform team. So for example, I want to register for this event or want to submit the session for this event. Okay, so I will just simply click over here. So I will be landed on this page. Now you can see here in this page, I have two options: register to attend and call for a speaker. Okay, now this is again a form, but you can see here the ID string is appended. So like this way, there are two types of forms basically. The first is the edit form and second is the insert form. The form that was using by the organizer was the insert form, and the form that the anonymous user is using right now to view the details is the edit form. So edit and read only. So there are two forms, edit and read only. If you want to allow user to edit the information, you can use the edit mode. If you don't want to do that, then you can use the read only mode. So I'm using the read only mode. So this is the event details. This is the image, the banner of the event, and the information you can see I cannot update that because I am not logged in and I am not the organizer. Okay, so event title, event description, technology, event mode, all the information is there. And you can see here, as soon as I have published the event as an organizer, a new Teams invite got created. So if I can quickly go to my Teams. So if you can see here, a new Teams got created in the Teams called Power Platform Classmate, and it sets the Arpit as a organizer. So if I click here, go to manage team. So if you can see here, the default owner is set as my name. Okay, then later I can add the members based on the number of registration is being done. Another thing is that if I go to the calendar, I have just created an entry for 24. I think for 24, yes. Let me check. So it should create a Teams invite as well. Let me open this. So if you can see here, a new invitation got created called Power Platform Classmates. Okay, and the Teams meeting also got created. So I'm just using some sample values for the demonstration purpose, but I will demonstrate it you that how I have created this Teams invitation and Teams creation on create or publish event. The component I'm going to discuss later. So the user can simply check the events details, the Teams meeting, everything. The status is currently open. It is not been closed yet. Now I have two options. I want to register myself for this particular event, and I want to submit the session for this event. Okay, so you can see like I have not logged in yet on the portal. If I want to use any of this feature, if I want to register or if you want to submit my session, I need to register first. So let's complete the flow of call for a speaker. So let's say I want to submit a session for this particular event. So I will click on call for a speaker. It opens a new window in the separate tab, and you can see it takes me to the sign in page first. Okay, it's not allowing me to register as anonymous or registering a session as an anonymous user. So since I'm a new user, I need to register myself. So I can provide an email example of Priyesh. Okay, Priyesh at the rate. Okay, I'm taking sample value. So for the user, there are a couple of ways to register for this event. Right now I'm using the local authentication. Okay, local authentication is not recommended for the production use. Actually, it is for the testing purpose because it stores the information in your contact form, right? So from the GDPR perspective, it is not recommended to use, but there are a lot of other ways to use the other authentications like Azure AD B2C, Azure AD, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. So these kind of authentication is also available, right? Just for the sake of the knowledge, I am just saying this. And for the demonstration purpose, I am using the local authentication. So I'll click on register. I need to provide the information here. First name. I think it's a CloudFront, right? Sorry, please. For title, I'm just giving value, nickname, so this is all the information. So once I register, I will be landed on this registration page. So I need to provide this information. So this is the profile details section, and here I'm providing the participating in events and speaking in events. So if Priyesh is submitting a particular session for this particular event, if later on he wants to check that on which particular event I have registered or in which particular event I have submitted my session, so you can just simply come to the profile page. So this is actually a profile page, and can view the information. So I'll just click on update. As soon as I register myself, I will be landed on the submit session page. Okay, so now the Priyesh is login. He will provide the session. For the demonstration purpose, I need to select the event manually, but you can write some sort of script and some business logic to auto populate that information as well. So that is quite possible, right? So you can simply pass the event ID in the parameter, and here you can auto populate. So that is also possible. Session title, like you want to demonstrate the Power Apps best practices. Now he can choose their preferred slot as well. So maybe he's choosing the evening slot. Okay, the technical level could be 300, and you can see here the Priyesh is not providing any information, his personal information, while submitting the session, right? He's only providing the information related to the sessions. But here you can see the speaker profile has been auto populated automatically. So I'm going to demonstrate that as well, that how you can auto populate the logged in user information as well. So we'll submit the information. So session has been submitted. So if you please go to the profile page, the session has not been approved yet, so it will not be visible here. So the session is currently in the submitted state. Okay, but I am the organizer, so I should get the approval email when any of the speakers is submitting an event. So if I go to the teams, if I go to the activity, so if you can see here, I got the approval request, the session approval request. I got the speaker name, the title called the best practices of Power Apps, and the request is pending at my end. So I will simply provide my command. So this is the way. I'm actually using the UI approval flow of Power Automate. You can simply automate the approval process using this. And I also got the email also on my Outlook. So if I'm not comfortable to provide the approval on the Microsoft Teams, I can provide the approval on Microsoft Outlook as well on the emails. Okay, I will simply approve this. All right, so the session has been approved. So it usually takes 10 to 15 minutes of time because I made the changes in the Dataverse level and I'm using the Power Automate. So Power Automate is basically asynchronous in nature. It's a non-real-time component and it actually updating the information in the Microsoft Dataverse. So it's not immediately reflected on the portal because whatever changes you do in the portal configuration on the portal entity, it immediately reflect on the portal. But whatever changes you are doing the Microsoft Dataverse, it takes 10 to 15 minutes of time. It's a cache mechanism of portal. to reflect back on the portal. But to get the immediately update on the portal, I will clear the cache. Let me clear the cache with the admin. So clear cache can only be possible using the admin credentials. So the cache from here. All right. Okay, so if I go to the profile of Priyesh and refresh this page, so now you can see in the Priyesh profile, you can see like speaking in events, there is an entry over there. Like Priyesh is speaking for Power Apps best practices. And if I go to the events, the same entry will be reflected there as well. So if I open the Power App platform classmates, if I go down here, the speaker name is listed. Okay. All right, so this is the way you can simply do it, but I think Vipin has already done the registration from the background, so I don't need to demonstrate that as well, but I will demonstrate that as well. I will just simply sign out from the Priyesh login. Now the third flow is that the participant wants to register on the portal. Okay, so I'm just closing this, signing in it again. Let's go to the events. Now the call for a speaker process is done. Now I have landed on this anonymous page and I want to register for this particular event. So they will simply register to attend. Simply register here. Take the example of Yash. Okay, so I will land it onto the profile page. Put it as a sample value Microsoft MVP. So these the registration should be provided. Once I update it, I will be landed onto the registration page. Now on the registration page also, I'm just you can see on the full name, I'm just auto populating the name. So user don't need to provide the information again and again. So I'm going to demonstrate that using entity form metadata. So using entity form metadata, you can just simply auto populate this information like I was talking about in my slide deck, right? So full name and participant profile, the information is already there. Now, if you want to redirect user to the profile page, you can simply provide the hyperlink. So I've already written a blog over on my on my website where I have demonstrated like how you can simply provide the hyperlink on the lookup value, same like the Dynamic 365, so that you can redirect user to that particular record, right? So I'm registering for this event and I just need to choose the event name. Here is the event, select, submit it. All right, so the registration is also done. So if I go to the events, I open this. So one registration is done and one speaker is also done. So two registration you can see here, and there is one speaker is also here. And same thing, if I want to check that how many registration I have done for how many events, I can simply track it from here as well. So if you can see here, participating in the event, there is an entry over here. All right, so all the three flows has been done. Now let's check what next. So I'm just closing the participant and speaker registration. So for example, I have just opened that registration process and call for a speaker process for 1 month. Now I just want to close this process. Okay, so that no one can register for that particular event. So this is the solution I have designed specifically for this event. So if you can see here, there is a solution I have designed called Power Platform Classmates, and all the components is available over here. So there are a couple of flows I have designed that I will discuss it later, but right now I just want to close this. So there are few the tables I have designed. So in my slide deck I was talking about like you need to design the data model first. You need to create the solution component in the Dataverse. So here are my all the data models. Here my data the solution component I have created. Now go to the Power Event. If I go to the data, so here's the event. So you can, provide this feature on the portal as well. So organizer can simply log in onto the portal and they can, simply close the registration. But I'm just doing it from the dynamic CRM. So if you can just go down in the CRM, there is an event status field and just close, setting the value as a registration close and saving is close. Again, I made the changes in the Dataverse, so I need to refresh the cache. And this is the sort of change that we don't want to immediately reflect on the portal. It's fine that it takes 5 to 10 minutes of time. So if I go back to the portal here, if I go to okay, so if I refresh this, let me check the events. So if I open this. So now you can see here the register option and the call for a speaker has been gone. So the user will no longer able to submit their sessions. And you can see here the status has been changed to registration close. All right. Okay, so this flow is also completed. Now let me show you that how the liquid templates can be used if you want to just change the branding of the portal and other things. So if you can see here in this, this is the default the template that I'm using, the custom portal. But there are some things like I have changed the heading value, header value. I have just used the icons over here. I have just provided some some customized component over here. So if I want to simply display the name of the user, so for example, the Yash is logged in right now. So if I logged in with the admin credentials, so I am right now I'm logged in with my credentials. So if I want that, this should display my name in the header section or in the home template. So what I can do is I can simply use the liquid template. So liquid template is basically used to, to customize your portal based on the logged in user, especially, and provide the dynamic content. Okay, sometimes you have the requirement that based on the user role, you want to display different home screen. You want to display the different UI branding. So these sort of information or these sort of things you can easily get it done using the liquid template. So if I just simply go to the header part. So now you can see here I am directly customizing the home template using the portal UI. Okay. Now here the message is written as hey welcome Power Apps classmate, and I want that after the welcome I just want to display the name of the logged in user. Okay. So I go to the source where the code has been written. And after the welcome, I just want to display the username. So there is a simple syntax of liquid called user. The user is basically
Arpit, you have 5 minutes.
Yep. I'm already done.
Just about, yeah. Sure.
Thanks. So user is basically a container which contains the logged in user information. So if you want to get any information of the logged in user, like its first name, last name, email address, anything, it just contains the reference of your contact table. Okay, so you can simply put user.first name and simply OK and save this record. So once you do that, you can see like my logged in user first name has been auto-populated. So this is the way you can simply use the liquid templates as well. You can customize your portal as per the the logged in user or the dynamic information. You can also do that. We have the content snippet also available. Using that, you can manage the content of the portal. So right now, if you can see here, there are some content like the header content I'm going to change and want to change this image. So that you can simply do it from the content snippet. There are a list of out-of-box content snippets are there, but you can simply use this content snippet to manage the header information. So if you go to the mobile header, go to the HTML part, you can see there is a code snippet is written. The image is written, so you can upload this image in the web file that I already told you. You can provide the height, width, and everything. And if you can see here, there is a label I have written over here, Power School. So you can simply change this. You can also customize your header as per your client need. So it's simple as that. Simply you can change this the header, the the home templates or the liquid templates. You can customize your branding, and this information you can easily customize using the web links. So you can directly do it from here also. You can see, like, the 4 web links are there. You can remove it, you can add your new one. So this can also be done using the web links set. So I think I have covered all the things. Only thing is the permission. I think I still have 4 minutes, right, Priyesh?
Yeah, you're over time, but that's fine. Like we can have
Sorry.
wrap this up in next 5 minutes.
Okay, so let me take the 4 minutes mostly. So I was talking about the web rows. So if you can see here, for the administrator, I can see the publish event, but for the normal user, I'm still logged in, but I'm not able to see that publish event. So that is possible using the web page access control rule. Okay, so if you go to a particular web page, so if I go here, I have already created a publish event web page. So in the published event web page, there is an option called access control rule. So I've already created a access control rule, and this access control rule, I've just given the right restrict read and associated a web role to the administrator. So that means this particular page should be accessible only to the administrator. All right. So since I have the admin web role available, that's why I'm able to see this publish event, and rest of the users are not able to see this particular button over there. All right, so this kind of things you can easily do using the out-of-box component of the portal. Yeah, and that's it. I think the last thing I can show you, like the Power Automate I have written. So if you can see here, there is a 2 Power Automate I have written. One is for approval and one is for creating Teams meeting. So it's a very simple flow. Session approval flow is basically using the UI approval. So using a UI approval connector, you can simply get the approval from the Teams or from the Outlook. You can see here when a particular row is added. So I've just registered it for a particular Power Speaker entity. So once the speaker submit their session, it creates a flow. It creates an approval where I'm auto populating some information. Right now I'm just providing this information, but you can auto populate that as well. And then you are posting an adaptive card to the Teams that you have seen earlier, right? And it will wait for the approval. Once the approval is done, it basically check whether it is approved or reject. If it is approved, then it will simply update the session status to completed or the approved. Okay, so this is a very simple flow I have written. So this is a simple demonstration that using Power Automate also you can simply write your business logics as well. The second flow is also simple, like it's a create Teams meeting, and in the create Teams meeting, it actually it actually triggers on create of event entity, and it's created Teams. I'm using the create the Teams connector, and it simply auto populate the information. Right now I just put it the hard coded values, but you can just auto populate this information. All right, then, so this is a very simple use case I had in my mind to demonstrate that how you can design the POC using the out-of-box component of the portal. But if you have some more time, because I have designed this whole POC in I think 1 or 2 hours of time. But if you have 1 day of time, you can customize the UI as per your client need as well. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Arpit. That was a lovely session, very insightful. A lot of information to be packed in under 45 minutes. So thank you so much. It was superb. And now finally, post this. Arpit, you do have some questions in the chat if you want to answer them.
Sure.
Else we'll move on to the game. Also, if you still have more questions, feel free to reach out to Arpit. I've mentioned his Twitter, I've mentioned his LinkedIn, and he should be able to help you out. All right, so let's proceed to the next game. So as we saw in the first round, Siraj was leading the first round with 3360 points. Now I will be taking the round 2. I will be sharing my screen. Make sure you all are logged into kahoot.it.
Power Platform classmates. Learn Power Platform like you would learn from a fellow classmate.